Welcome to Spit Bucket. We're here again at Brisbane's Wine Emporium, New Farm, right East Hope. The chief, he tells me, not chief winemaker, chief of Craggy range. And you've got a new range, the Hawke's Bay range.
Yeah, it's the sort of release of our new vintages from the Hawke's Bay, which includes the Kidnappers and some single vineyard wines from the Gimlet Gravels vineyard.
Okay, this of course is not the exclusive full amount of what you do out of Hawke's Bay, because you've got all sorts of other wines as well.
Yeah, we've got the Prestige Collection wines that come out of there as well, yeah.
Okay. We start with
Kidnappers, yeah. Kidnappers.
Do you want to explain that? Because Kidnappers is, that's one of your capes over there, isn't it?
Yeah, Cape Kidnappers forms the southern boundary of Hawke's Bay itself. So as the name implies, the vineyard's right on the coast, near the Cape. And what makes the vineyard unique is that it's a few degrees cooler than the Gimlet Gravel site, so it lends itself to a different style. Okay. Yeah.
Near the resort?
Yes, very close to the Cape Kidnappers Resort, yeah, which we frequent as often as we can.
They must be paying you well.
Get this odd slide, got free round of golf, so it's good.
It's a very nice place to stay. Right. Now this is 010, isn't it?
2010, so just released. Many winemakers in Hawke's Bay will tell you that 2010 is easily the best vintage we've had for Chardonnay, at least since 04. So we're all very excited about that. I mean, any grapes that make winemakers look clever, we're excited about. So the Kidnappers vineyard, being cooler, lends itself to a more Chablis style winemaking. So it's mostly in large oak, up to 8,000 litre oak and puncheons. Only about 4 months on lees. It might have gone through a little bit of discretionary malo, but not much at all. So that fresh, zippy sort of citrus floral style.
It's the freshness and almost sort of slightly lean character.
Yeah.
But it's, again, the Craggy range wines always have this lovely texture.
Yeah.
Is it deliberate or just what the fruit gives?
You know, I think as newer winemakers, we've been overly taught to chisel all that out when we come out of university and things like that. So if there's a little bit of texture there, you must find the fining agent that can nail it and take it out and make these slick, friendly wines. But I think as a mantra for Craggy wines that sort of promise sweet, or promise sweet but finish dry, is what it's all about. And that phenolic line in these wines is vital for that, to hold them together.
All right.
Do you want to try the Gimlet?
We better.
So 2009 Gimlet Gravel Chardonnay.
All right.
Probably more classically proportioned wine.
Intention will be to keep the year's vintage difference?
Yeah, something probably I've had to fight for. Our sales and marketing team too, probably far too good a job at moving this sort of stuff. So we've managed to persuade them to keep the 2010 Gimlet Gravel Chardonnay, which has only just been bottled, for a few more months before we put it on the market. But 09's a good vintage. As I say, more classically proportioned sort of wine. But having said that, while it's recognisably rich aromatically as Chardonnay and identifiable as such, we've really tried to tighten the screws on the palate of this wine so it finishes with some cut and freshness.
It's certainly a lot richer style. Is there more oak in this one?
Yes, 100% barrel fermented, so
Okay.
all barrique, and about 30% of those were new. So not heavy-handed, but it should be slightly more than just background noise in the wine. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you see a massive difference. If anyone wants to have a look at the difference it can make, it's worth putting a bottle of these either side next to each other and having a look, because there's a real difference and you can see it.
Are you telling people to buy both, Ken?
I leave entirely up to Clive can cut that anytime. I'd be happy to drink either. I'm happy to tell people that.
Yeah, we often find I reach back for a bottle of that and it tends to be empty in my case, in my friend's case. So yeah, we're very, very happy. I mean, there's a lot of discussion in the house at the moment around Chardonnay. You never seem to make a Chardonnay that satisfies all Chardonnay drinkers. But yeah, so having the richer model but still tight and fresh on the palate is what we're all about.
Righto.
That's red.
Let's squeeze at the reds.
So we've got two reds, 2009 vintage. 2009 easily, of the 6 vintages I've been involved with, 2009 easily the best. So it's a great vintage. I mean, of course, it's pretty much win-win as a winemaker.
So when did you actually join?
Goddamn customer.
Okay, you're telling us about the...
Yeah, 2009, fantastic vintage. Easily the best of the 6 that I've been lucky enough to work with off the Gimlet Gravels. And of course, I mean, there's great thing about being a winemaker. There's actually no accountability whatsoever. Because when the wines are good, you take all the credit, and when the wines are crap, you just blame the weather. So it's a
How does
win-win
it go
situation.
down with employers?
Okay, given there's one within earshot, it's probably not
Over
the
there
best thing
shaking
I've
your
ever
head.
seen.
Plenty of accountability.
But
You
yeah,
can take credit.
I looked at the 08 of this not so long ago. This is more spicy, more pepper.
yeah, it's a warmer, drier vintage than 08. 08 has had quite pert, fresh tannins. Signature aromatics are there every year. Even if we try to temper it with Syrah from the Gimlet Gravels, you can't. It's those blue florals, black pepper, blueberry fruit, and for a real signature element for me with Gimlet Gravels, not just ours, but right across the board, is that almost sandalwood camphor-like aromatic oil quality that comes through as well.
Now, one thing we haven't really done is talked about the Gimlet Gravels itself, because it would be the youngest winemaking region on the planet.
I think as an identified region, yeah, and it's a special place in that it's one of, I think maybe the only place that's done it properly, but the only place in the world that's demarcated by soil type. So to be Gimlet Gravels, you not only have to be within the boundary, you have to satisfy the soil type requirement, and that limits the whole appellation to just over 800
But
hectares.
130 years ago it didn't exist.
No.
And then you had one of your little earthquakes that you so enjoy.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, change in the river.
Yep.
And you got all this area that.
That's right, yeah, it was just a meandering river just coursed its way through there. So it's got this braided nature to the soils. You move from stones to stilt to stones, and that's one of the challenges of being on the gravels is trying to iron out those differences within a block. Should we try that Merlot?
Oh, it's already pre-opened.
Yeah, I've already decanted some Ponte Canet in it, so
So it looks all right.
yeah. No, so this is 2009 Merlot. Of course, all good Merlot needs some accompaniment. So it's got about 14.9% Cabernet Franc in there to lift the aromatics, but it's some really good.
Wasn't green enough.
It wasn't. No, so the Cabernet Franc provides that aromatic and floral dried herb lift. And Merlot, I mean, as you know, one of the few places taking Merlot-based Bordeaux-style winemaking seriously outside of the right bank is the Gimlet Gravels. So, and again, 2009, a great vintage.
You do see those sort of blue fruits and things coming through, don't you?
Yeah, there's a familiar thread even between the Syrah and the Merlots. In a ripe year, that sort of sandalwood, spice, cinnamon, Asian 5-spice as well.
Yeah.
There's some really cool things going on. It's a great vintage makes us look quite clever.
Well, it has indeed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on Spit Bucket.
No, pleasure.
And remember, any questions you've got, and also...
Where are we going for lunch?
no, I didn't mean you. I meant any questions, comments, send them in.
We can make up the answers.
Indeed. And until next time on Spit Bucket, remember we spit so you don't have to.